So the lesson for today is trusting and faith. And it's funny because I was having like a conversation with your pastor, and he's like, yeah, on Sunday, you do 30 minutes. Like, I said, I'm supposed to do 30 minutes, and like, I can't even do it. Like, what are you talking about? But I mean, surprisingly, I didn't tell him no and put up a fight like I always do. So he's happy about that. So I didn't have an idea of what I was going to talk about or anything like that. I just know that maybe I should do it on like faith because that's what I have to have right now. Yeah. Because you know how you can listen to what a doctor says and stuff like that, and you're realistic, but you still have faith. So that's how I've been operating this whole year, really. Bear with me. I believe it's going to be for the time. So my lesson is about trusting God and faith. And I don't have a title or anything, so I guess that can be the title. I just have a few scriptures and maybe some examples of trusting God. So everyone is familiar with the term when it rains it pours.
Yes.
So it's like, you know, one thing goes wrong and then it's like a domino effect. Everything starts to go wrong. You just can't catch a break. You want it all to stop. I mean, like, even myself, I don't know if you all know. Yeah, I think you know. My grandfather passed away right before Christmas. And then Christmas Eve, I was wrapping gifts for my wonderful nieces and cut my finger. And then had to go to the emergency room and get stitches. Or Christmas Eve. And let me tell y'all, I had got a booster shot earlier that day, and then I go to the emergency room later on that night, and I had to get a tetanus shot in the other arm. So I'm walking with both arms hurt, my finger broke up. So
When it rains,
I'm just like, really? So this is really what's going on here. Okay. So, you know, just want it all to stop. You need a break. So, and sometimes you may even cry out to God like, can't you just help me and make it stop? Like, what are you doing? Like, I need a break. I can't take this no more. Like, everybody else is living their best life and I'm over here struggling. So, it's been a few times that even my faith has been, you know, tested and my abilities to trust in God. But, you know, it's nobody but Him that keeps you holding on to your faith. So, I have learned that going through certain things does cause you to be a witness to other people. And you also have some great testimonies to share. So wherever I go through things, that's what I tend to think about, what my testimony will be from this, because I know that God will bring me through it. So also, in a new way that I think about the term when it rains, it pours is it can also turn into something positive because, you know, when I've experienced, you know, the goodness of God and when the blessing starts raining, they start pouring down too. So I changed that whole rain and pours from the negative into the positive because He just don't, you know, bless you a little bit. He outpours your blessings when you have the faith in Him and, you know, you're trusting in Him. So I'm going to, everyone knows the story of Job, and he lost everything in a day. And then to top it off, his body became afflicted too, with sores from head to toe. And you're like, really? So everyone around him basically told him, like, you crazy for still trusting him, like just curse him, and you know, but he never did. And so that was something that I thought about because we have to have that in our lives nowadays. I mean, everything in the Bible still stands true to today anyway, even though it was a million years ago. Well, not a million, but you know. Oh my God. No, I was about to say, Assistant Pastor Denshaw, he knows probably the exact time. Like, yeah,
that was a little
14.
sketchy.
It's all good.
The exact time frame of the Bible days for me.
Oh yeah, he knows.
Yeah.
It's locked up in there.
So it's similar in today's time. The story never changes. History really does repeat itself.
Yeah.
So it's like, why do you still trust in God and allow yourself to suffer?
Right.
Excuse me. Why people are always asking us, why are we trusting in God if He allowed us to suffer?
Right.
And you know, we just lose everything. Like, why are we still trusting Him? So a lot of times, you know, we felt like we still going through the same thing that Job went through. And Job basically told them, and I'm gonna say it in today's time, like, no, I'm not a fool. Like, I'm not going to, you know, curse God. I'm not stupid. So that's basically what he told them.
Yes, way cool.
And I believe that there's a reason for every single thing that happens.
Right.
And I know it can be frustrating while you're actually in this situation and going through your storm and feel like everything is bad and it's only happening to you. Because a lot of times we do feel like, and Pastor was literally talking about it, everybody is going through something. So you can feel like it's only happening to you, but honestly, you have no idea the blessing that God has in store for you if you continue to trust in Him and have your faith. His word is always true, and He will never leave or forsake you.
Amen.
So now we finally get to the scripture. Isaiah 38. 16 through 17. Okay. Okay, so that's not... Okay. I want to read it from my version. You restored me to health and let me live. Surely it was for my benefit that I suffered such anguish. In your love, you kept me from the pit of destruction. You have put all my sins behind your back. So while we may be suffering or going through our storm, we will be restored. He literally just said that. So, and you may also be thinking, like, how is it for my benefit that I suffered this much? And, you know, how I said earlier, we may be a testimony for somebody else that goes through the same thing. And also, it's for our benefit because our faith may have been tested during the storm, and maybe God was showing us that it's Him that brings us out of these situations and not ourselves. So, and then I also, well, you can turn to the scripture. And I also thought, remember I told you guys I can share some scriptures and just, you know, I didn't know how I was going to do this, but I'm doing it. So, I'm sorry. It also made me think about the woman with the issue of blood. And
Bless you.
It's all right.
Bless it.
God, God.
Bless it, God.
Oh, God.
Thank you, Jesus. Yes, Lord. Bless it, Jesus. Thank you, Lord. Strengthen the Lord. Thank you, Lord.
Got you. Oh, got you. Bless her, Lord.
Bless
Oh, got you.
It's all right. It's all right.
I'll make it good.
Thank you, Jesus. All right.
okay. So I spoke on this before, and the story never gets old to me because she had because of what the story stands for, and she trusted in Jesus and had so much faith that she could just touch Him, that she would be whole. And the scripture is it's Mark 25 through 29. 5:25 through 29. And a woman was there who had been subject to bleeding for 12 years. She suffered a great deal under the care of many doctors and had spent all she had. Yet instead of getting better, she grew worse. When she heard about Jesus, she came up behind him in the crowd and touched his cloak because she thought, if I just touch his clothes, I will be healed. Immediately her bleeding stopped and she felt in her body that she was freed from suffering. And of course, he then asked to touch me. And then, I guess I can go to 32 through 34 to start. But Jesus kept looking around to see who had done it. The woman, knowing what had happened to her, came and fell at his feet and, trembling with fear, told him the whole truth. He said to her, "Daughter, your faith has healed you. Go in peace and be freed from your suffering." So he recognized that her faith was so strong that he healed her and from her suffering. And sometimes we have to reach out to God to heal us too. And also pray for people when they're, in their sick beds or, physically hurt or mentally healing, that they have to have faith too. It's not just us that has the faith for them. They have to have faith and believe that God will heal them as well. So it's up to all of us to have faith. And then this is the last scripture, Toy. Jeremiah 30:17. And it says, "For I will restore health to you, and your wounds I will heal, declares the Lord." So I look at that scripture not only as physical health and wounds internally, as physical health, but our internal wounds as well. So sometimes we're hurting from what others have said to us, have done to us. We're hurting physically, but mentally. And he said he will restore it all. It is up to us to believe that he will and be faithful that he will do it. So, and this is just something that I remember a few years ago. I remember literally like everything fell apart. I had an amazing job. I was making so much more money than I ever made in my entire life. And then it was gone, and it wasn't even my fault. It was just gone. And what made matters worse was it was gone the day after I signed my lease to my new place. I was moving up here in this area. And so around that time, I was also going through my own personal problems in life with relationships or friendships. And I'm just like, are you kidding me? Like, why is everything happening at one time? And I feel like the only thing that was missing was the stores that Job had. He had all the stores, but like, Lord, that's the only thing that's missing. Everything is going wrong. Like, why is everything getting taken from me? And I was worried about, paying rent, eating, and paying bills, and unemployment was basically just covering rent and food. I'm like, I need some help. So I went through that for 6 months. And some of you all remember that I went for 6 months without nothing but unemployment. And God kept me through that entire time because my faith and trusting in him. And I'm not going to lie, it was some days I just was at my breaking point, and I'm just like, I cannot take this no more. And then there he goes on time, right when I was about to break, and he blessed me. And he restored everything that I lost. Now, everything was not perfect, and I still had to get through things, but I went through it, and he did not leave me. So now, even more, I tell y'all all the time how much I love my job. I say it all the time. I will never stop saying it. I love my job, and he restored everything even more. So it's just an example of, just keeping faith and praying and trusting that everything will be okay. And I tried to make it to 30 minutes, so I'm sorry. But now I'm going through, you know, rough times right now. And every single time my thoughts start to, you know, think of like a terrible outcome or I keep repeating myself. It was one time my sister was praying and she had said something about miracles and faith and everything like that. So whenever I think of anything, I keep on saying to myself, miracles and faith and trusting in him. But I keep on hearing her voice when I think about it. So yes, I'm talking about you, First Lady. So I keep hearing her voice saying miracles and faith and trusting in God. So whenever you you know, feel like things are just not working out or they're getting worse and nothing's working out, just keep saying to yourself, miracles, faith, keep trusting him, it'll work out. So I tried, you guys. God is a miracle worker and our faith has to be maintained, and my faith is maintained as well. So that's more encouragement for you all.
Amen.